So this is the Vorloff, and what I'm doing here is just gently pouring it back in on top of in the mash tun here. We don't want to go really fast because we don't want to disturb the grain bed. The idea of the Vorloff is to set the grain filter, or the grain bed, which acts as a filter for the rest of the beer. So pull that down. As you can see, well, I think you can't see, in the bottom of this kettle, in the bottom here, you really can't make that out too well, can you? Oh, there you go, right there. That's that's bits of grain left over from the Vorloff. Now that would have gone into my beer had I not done that into this 2-quart container. So we're going to do that again. And the first time you see that, sometimes you can rinse that grain out of the container you're doing the Vorloff into. And that can be helpful, but it's not really required to rinse that out since you are pouring it back on top of the grain bed. I'm trying to get it all to come through. I think I'm running pretty clear here now as I watch the pieces coming out. Now part of why I do this in the brew kettle is that if I miss what I'm trying to Vorloff into a little bit and it spills over, it goes in the brew kettle. You know, if you have a couple grains in your brew kettle, it's not really going to hurt anything. It's not the end of the world. But hold on, while I'm doing this, I'm not paying attention over here. That's above target, yeah. So turn that off. I'm going to Vorloff this back on the top again. We'll recirculate it. Nice and gently. Sometimes it's nice to have some music playing in the background. I don't have any today. But that's okay. There we go. Alright. So now, without disturbing that, alright, so that's good. That's clear. I use a clamp here to hold onto my hose, just so it doesn't completely fall in. I don't want the hose all the way in the wort as I'm drawing it out. So I use the clamp there, which holds it up above the bottom of the brew kettle. I did spill a little bit in there, but that's okay. So now the tricky part is you want to have your flow into here match your flow out. And that can be kind of tricky. So, start with, I'm going to start the outflow. Let that go there. There we go. And then let's start our inflow a little bit over here. The other thing about this is you want this nice gentle flow in here. I'm going to disrupt you for a second here. Okay, so there is our flow in. I know a lot of steam in there right now, so it's hard to see. But there's the flow in down there through our 1/4 inch stainless steel ball valve, full port ball valve, but not open all the way because you don't want a fast flow. You want to go kind of slow here. And here's the mash tun where we're trying to keep this piece semi-elevated but flowing gently. Again, you want a nice gentle flow here because you don't want to disturb that grain bed underneath. So I try and have my little PVC distributor here going right on the sides. Actually, I'm just going to turn that because it seems a little bit off. So just put you down for a second whilst I turn that. I know, fun, nice big blue thing to stare at for a minute here. But getting this thing turned right is not easy, as they say. I don't know who they are, but they do say a lot of things, you know. There we go. All right, that's better. So now, I don't know if you can see that now. Yeah, there we go. See it kind of laying on the surface a little bit like that, and you can see the, if you look carefully, you can kind of see the grains moving away from it on the side. Looks like I might need to increase the flow a little bit here, or decrease it a little bit on the other side. But anyway, this takes, you know, quite a long time to flow. So I'm not going to bore you. I'm not going to bore you with the whole thing here. The idea is into the kettle, out of the mash tun at the same rate. So the level you have here in your mash tun, shows to you again, the level here in your mash tun should be staying about the same. And as you can see, mine is not. So I do need to increase my flow. There we go. Okay, so and one thing I just thought of that I hadn't realized before is that I have the same 1/4 inch valve up here on my hot liquor tank, and I also have that same type one down here on my mash tun. Didn't have that last year. This is the first year I've had both the same. So the advantage of that, though, is that since they both have this little lock valve on them right here, if I see where the lock valve is against the locking pin, if you will, on that one, we can compare that to the rate that we have on the other one up here, and if they're about the same, then our flow rates should be about the same. So there's an advantage to using the same hardware on both ends of your system. And you see we're still flowing here pretty nicely. Still flowing out. We got some grains floating on top, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. That's going to come through here. Oh, lost it. There we go. Through there. Over, and then you can see here where it kind of opens up to there as it drips back down into here. Now, the other thing that I've done, what I like to do is to I've already started the flame in there. See that? So the advantage to already starting the flame is that it helps it to heat up, so it doesn't cool off too much when it's going into the boil kettle. So that kind of helps you to get to a boil faster. So with that being said, I'm going to let this go. I've got my stick here has notches, so I can tell how much I've collected already. It measures 2 to 13.5 by half gallon marks. So in other words, this bottom part here is 2 gallons. That's 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, and so on. So with that being said, let's see where we're at right now so far. There's 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, almost at 4 gallons.